Welcome back. Today we will be doing two phylum Annelida and phylum Arthropoda. So Annelida is an easy phylum. It won't take much time. Phylum Arthropoda, however, is a bit more complex. You have to do that in bit more detail and it is a bit more important. So first of all, let's just go through phylum Annelida. The term annelida was coined by Lamarck. It means ringed animals. Annelid means little ring in Latin. Okay, they are aquatic, both marine and freshwater, terrestrial, flea living, sometimes parasitic. Just go over this. And as we know, Ascalamentous, the roundworms, were pseudocoelomates and were the only phylum in the animal kingdom which are pseudocoelomates. From final annelids, all the organisms are coelomates. Okay, their body organization, bilateral symmetry, triploblastic, metamerically segmented, and coelomate animals. Remember that they are metamerically segmented. You already know from part 1 what metamerically segmented means. Now, there are a few distinct ways in which annelids are segmented. This is the tentacle, and then there are these black dots that you see, these are the eyes, and then these foot-like structures, okay, they are called parapodia, and these feather-like structure in the foot, these are called setae. Then there is the first two segments which are called prostomium and peristomium. So this whole part with tentacle and eyes is called prostomium. So prostomium. So pro actually means first, like primitive, primum, and stomium you can think of it as part of the body. So first part of the body, prostomium, and then this is the first segment is called peristomium. The last segment is called anal segment. Now you will notice that in anal segment and in the first segment there are these tentacle like structures. So this is called cirri. So the tentacle like structure in the head or in the peristomium are the peristomium cirri, and the tentacles like structure in the anal segment are anal cirri. Cirri, remember this, anal cirri and peristomium cirri. Now there are multiple classes in the phylum Annelids. One of these classes is class Hirudinea, to which Hirudinaria belongs. So Hirudinaria has a distinctive feature that a large posterior sucker and often a smaller one at the anterior end is present, and it does not have tentacles, parapodia or setae. So no tentacle, no parapodia, no setae. No tentacles, no parapodia, and no setae. The coelom is most of the body proportion is filled by connective tissue called botorhyoidal tissue and muscles. So this is actually not important, but just for extra information, the body portion is filled by a connective tissue called botorhyoidal tissue, which is not found in other classes. So this is why Hirudinaria, the example in your NCERT is important. Okay, now back to the NCERT. Their body surface is distinctly marked out in segments or metamers. You already know this. Phylum name Annelida, Latin annulus, little ring. I told you who gave the name Annelida. It was Lamarck. Then they possess longitudinal and circular muscles which help in locomotion. Aquatic annelids like Nereis possess lateral appendages, parapodia, which help in swimming. So this is Nereis and it has lateral appendages. I have already told you about this. Parapodia, they help in swimming. Next, closed circulatory system is present. Nephridia. Nephridia is a structure which is present in annelids which help them in osmoregulation and excretion. neural system consists of paired ganglia. Now, the excretory system and neural system of annelids and arthropoda are imported from board's point of view and also from NEET point of view. They always ask this question. So, excretory structure in annelids is nephridia, which helps in osmoregulation and excretion. And then the neural structure in annelids consists of paired ganglia, which is connected by lateral nerves to a double ventral nerve cord. So they have a nerve cord, which is a very advanced feature, and it was not present in previous primitive animals. Nereis is an aquatic form. It is dioecious, but earthworm and leeches are monoecious. So remember, Nereis, this aquatic form, Nereis, it is dioecious. But other forms like Hirudinaria, earthworms, and leeches, the organisms of the class Hirudinaria are commonly called leeches, and leeches are parasitic. So earthworm leeches are monoecious and reproduction is sexual. Now Nereis, Ferretima, earthworm, remember Ferretima, earthworm, Hirudinaria, blood-sucking leech. Okay, very basic stuff. Moving forward to a much more complex phylum which needs much more explanation, and we need to go and get into much more detail, is phylum Arthropoda. So the term Arthropoda was proposed by a German zoologist von Siebold and H. Stonius. It is the largest phylum of the animal kingdom. It's from with something like 90,000 to at least 100,000 species. Okay, it's located the largest phylum of the animal kingdom. Now this term Arthropoda comes from Greek arthros, which means joint, and pods, which means foot. So arthropods. Arthropods, insects. There's a common misconception that only insects are arthropod. No, insecta is a subdivision, is a class insecta inside arthropod. And this one example given in your NCERT of a prawn comes under another class of arthropods known as crustaceans. We will learn about this later. Okay, so first of all, 2/3 of all the named species on earth are arthropods. So insects, they are everywhere. They have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, segmented, and coelomate. So notice they are segmented but not necessarily metamerically segmented. You know the difference between segmented and metamerical segmented. I have told you in first part. Now the body of arthropod is covered by chitinous exoskeleton. This is also an important fact, but a very basic fact. Almost everybody knows that chitinous exoskeleton is present in arthropods. This is why they are so hard. The body consists of head, thorax, and abdomen. So the body is distinctly divided into a head, then a thorax, and then an abdomen region. They have jointed appendages. So by the name itself, arthropodas. Respiratory organs are gills, book lungs, or tracheal system. So all these respiratory organs are present in arthropoda, which is gills, book lungs, and tracheal system. Different classes in arthropoda have their own specific respiratory system. Now circulatory system is of open type. So circulatory system is not yet of closed type, and they don't have iron in their blood, so their blood is colorless. Sensory organs like antenna, eyes are compound and simple. Statocyst or balancing organs are present. Sensory organs, they have antennas and eyes, and they have statocyst, which is a balancing organ. Excretion takes place through Malpighian tubules. Now excretion in annelids was through an organ called nephridia. Now excretion in arthropods takes place through an organ called Malpighian tubules, and they are mostly dioecious. They have males and females. Fertilization is usually internal. They are mostly oviparous. Butterfly lays eggs, that. So they are mostly oviparous, and fertilization is internal. Development may be direct or indirect. In some, the development is direct, like scorpion. So scorpion has like little mini scorpions as its pups, and then they grow up, which are anatomically similar to adult but not completely developed. And then you obviously know butterfly. They have a caterpillar stage and the whole cycle of metamorphosis. Now, the phylum Arthropoda is subdivided into multiple subphylums like Chelicerata, Trilobitomorpha, and Mandibula. Now, this particular class, Mandibula, this is what most people think of when they think of arthropods, because this is the most surviving class right now. Mandibulata has all those organisms which are classically considered insects like Crustacea, Insecta, Chilipoda, Diplopoda, and Pauropoda. These are not exactly very important according to your NCERT, but still it is good to know. And then there is Trilobitomorpha, which is another subphylum. So Trilobitomorpha is characterized by body which is divided by two lengthwise furrows into three lobes. You must have seen in if you're interested in dinosaur documentaries or ancient earth documentaries, these were ancient organisms. Over 4,000 species used to exist. They evolved during the Cambrian period. Their development was with a larval stage. They had marine forms, abdomen of 2 to 29 segments with a fused caudal plate, and they had a distinct head. Now, let's say the more common phylum, which was Mandibulata. But before that, I want you to know one important thing about the class Chelicerata. Most of the people think that spiders, house spiders, belong to the class Insecta because they are commonly referred to, grouped in insects category in common language. But actually, if you actually see, spiders belong to a class Arachnida of the subphylum Chelicerata. Okay, so what are Cheliceratas and how are they different from the insectas? Insectas which belong to the subphylum Mandibulata. So Chelicerata actually have few distinct characteristics. Their bodies are usually of two parts, cephalothorax and abdomen. So you know, head, thorax, and abdomen. So the head and thorax in Chelicerata are fused, and cephalothorax is unsegmented and covered with a covering called as carpaceae. So spiders have this covering called carpaceae through which the cephalothorax is covered. So they have no antennas or true jaws. You know, mandible, you remember mandible was is also a jawbone in humans. So mandibulata, remember it like this, they have jaw. Spiders, they don't usually have jaw. So no antenna or true jaws, and spiders don't even have antenna. Now respiration is by all those processes, book gills, book lungs, and trachea. And sexes are usually separate, and males are often smaller. They are mostly oviparous. You know that spiders lay eggs, and some of them have larval stages. They are mostly predaceous. Now mandibulata, I have already told you, they have one pair of jaws, mandibles, and three or more pair of walking legs. Next, there is at least three classes of mandibulata that you should know about, and then obviously we'll go into the order insecta. So first of all, the three classes in mandibulata are Crustacea, Chilipoda, and insecta. So Crustacea, you already know, they are aquatic, and then their respiration is by gills because they live underwater. Now eggs are carried by female, very basic stuff, crabs, prawns, etc. Now you should know the difference between the two classes to which centipedes and millipedes belong to. Centipedes belong to the class called Chilopoda. So remember it as C, Chilopoda. And Diplopoda is the class to which millipedes belong. Okay. So Chilopoda and Diplopoda. So organisms are named Chilopoda centipedes because chilo in Greek means lip and poda means foot. So lip footed. And Diplopoda, diplo means in the pair of two, and poda. So millipedes have legs in the pair of two, hence they are called Diplopoda. Next, the class insecta, which I've already told you about. This is the classes in which the butterflies and locusts belong to. Now they have different Coeloptera, Diptera, Lepidoptera. These are the three main that you need to know about. So you should know that the ptera with a P, it means wings, and all of them are classified based on their wings. You can see that this two orders of Coleoptera and Diptera. When you will go to 12th grade, you will learn about a certain type of toxin used in agriculture called Bt toxin. So Bt toxin helps us to keep pests away from agricultural spaces. So Bt toxin is effective against order Coleoptera and Diptera. Now Coleoptera, what is Coleoptera? Which are the organisms which are present in Coleoptera? It is the most diverse order of insecta. Coleoptera. They have two pairs of wings. Now these have biting and chewing type of mouth, and they usually have very strong jaws. Okay, so they have complete metamorphosis. Examples of Coleoptera are beetles. Next, Diptera. Diptera, di means two. So two pair of wings are present. Who belongs to the order Diptera? If you remember from your chapter 1, Living World, it has a chart with, I guess, 4 important organisms and their class and order. So flies and cockroaches belong to the order Diptera. Okay, their head and wings are reduced to knobby balancing organs. They help in balancing, in mouth parts is sucking, piercing, lapping type. If you have ever noticed like a zoom in image of a housefly, it has this lapping kind of mouth. Next, Lepidoptera. Lepidos means scaly in Greek, and ptera means wings. So Lepidoptera, these are the insects with scaly links, and they have sucking type of mouth like butterflies and moths. I've already told you about all the examples. These were the 3 important orders in the class insecta. Next, you know the insects are very economically important. They have, for example, honeybees, silkworms, and lac insect, Lacifer. They also act as vectors for diseases, for example, Anomophilus, Culex, and Aedes mosquito. Then some of them are pests, for example, locust, and then few are a living fossil. Living fossil means very old evolved organism which still exists, like king crab or limulus. This ends this video. In next video we'll do phylum mollusca and echinodermata, which are both very interesting, and they will also be very detailed. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in next video.